Formula One's biggest nightmare has quietly become plausible. Max Verstappen, four-time world champion and the sport's dominant figure across the past half-decade, holds a contractual exit route from Red Bull for 2026, and current form makes that escape hatch realistic. 3 rounds into the 2026 season, Verstappen sits ninth in the Drivers' Championship on just 12 points, while Red Bull occupies fourth in the Constructors' standings with only 16 points, their weakest opening since 2015. Should he walk, the commercial, cultural, and competitive fallout would reshape the sport. Verstappen's frustration traces almost entirely to Formula One's new 2026 technical regulations. During pre-season testing in Bahrain in February 2026, he branded the car as anti-racing and said the feeling is not very Formula One-like. It feels a bit more like Formula E on steroids. Following a difficult Chinese Grand Prix, he shifted to Mario Kart comparisons, joking that his simulator had been swapped for a Nintendo Switch. His contract officially runs through the end of 2028, yet buried inside it sits a performance-linked exit clause. If he falls outside the top 2 in the Drivers' Championship by the summer break in late July, he can walk away unilaterally, with no compensation owed. Grasping what Formula One stands to lose means understanding just how enormous the sport has grown. Liberty Media posted F1 revenue of $3.9 billion in 2025, climbing 14% year-on-year, with operating income jumping 28% to $632 million. The 2024 figure sat at $3.41 billion, up 5.9%. Global fanbase reached 826.5 million in 2024, a 12% year-on-year rise, and settled at roughly 827 million by 2025. Live viewership climbed 21% last year, while season attendance struck 6.75 million, up 4% on 2024. Team valuations have ballooned alongside that growth, with Sportico's 2025 rankings placing the average team valuation at $3.42 billion, up 48% year-on-year, and the 11 teams collectively worth $34.2 billion. This is the empire a Verstappen exit would test. Nowhere does the Verstappen question carry more weight than in the United States, the market Liberty Media has worked hardest to cultivate. The 2021 title duel between Hamilton and Verstappen delivered ESPN an average of 934,000 viewers per race, a 54% jump and a record at the time, while the Abu Dhabi finale pulled in 108.7 million globally. By 2022, the US average reached 1.21 million, another record. And then came 2023, the year of Verstappen's 19-win landslide. ESPN averaged 1.11 million, down 9%. Italian ratings collapsed 32% year-on-year to their lowest since 2020, and Sky UK's F1 channel monthly audience dropped 6%. The lesson here is instructive. A Verstappen who races and fights proves enormously valuable, yet when he wins unchallenged, the product already sells less, and if he leaves entirely, that becomes a question the sport has never had to answer. The most immediate damage would strike Red Bull Racing. Title sponsor Oracle contributes roughly $110 million each year, the biggest title sponsor figure on the grid, and total 2023 sponsorship revenue topped $226 million across 38 brands. Team estimated revenue for 2026 lands between $418 and $425 million, with sponsorship income exceeding $300 million and a valuation of roughly $4.32 to $4.5 billion. In 2025, Red Bull added Carlyle Group as a long-term partner and extended its visa deal through 2030. Those agreements were signed with Verstappen in the cockpit and built around his championship identity. The team has also bled senior talent across roughly 24 months, losing Adrian Newey to Aston Martin, Jonathan Wheatley to Audi, Rob Marshall and Will Courtney to McLaren, and Christian Horner after a reported £80 million settlement in September 2025. Whether the sponsorship base endures a Verstappen departure, particularly one paired with an uncompetitive car and a depleted engineering room, is the question keeping Red Bull executives awake at night. F1 teams generated a combined $2.05 billion in sponsorship revenue in 2024, more than every North American league except the NFL. Average deal size reached $6.01 million, roughly 8 times the NFL average. Technology leads the sectors at $543 million, with financial services second at $379 million. Total F1 sponsorship spend is projected to cross $3 billion in 2026. Verstappen alone accounts for 22% of the entire grid's base salary payroll, a clear marker of his individual market weight. A sport that has built itself on gladiatorial star power cannot afford to lose its most recognizable gladiator at the exact moment its on-track product has come under question. The Netherlands has become the most visible Verstappen-led growth market. Zandvoort's 2021 Dutch Grand Prix pulled an average of 3 million and a peak of 3.3 million viewers on Ziggo Sport, the largest F1 audience ever recorded in the country at that point. Dutch cumulative viewership for the 2021 Bahrain Grand Prix hit 9.8 million, a national record, with year-on-year audience up 81%. Since his debut in 2015, F1 interest in the Netherlands has climbed from 24 to 40% on some measures, while Zandvoort attendance surged 81% between 2021 and 2022. Formula One itself credits the Orange Army as a selling point promoters elsewhere now try to replicate. Remove Verstappen from the picture, and the Orange Army has nothing left to march for. Compounding the risk, Formula One's biggest cultural amplifier is losing steam. Drive to Survive, Season 6, released in February 2024, drew 2.9 million viewers across its opening 3 days, a 30% drop on Season 5, with opening weekend hours watched falling 18%. Season 7, released in March 2025, recorded 10.4 million views between January and June 2025. It held on to its status as Netflix's most watched sports documentary across that window, yet the figure marked a 10.3% drop on Season 6 and a 16% slide in consumed hours. Rotten Tomatoes scores have fallen from 92% on Season 1 to 60% by Season 6, and losing the central protagonist at the moment audiences are already drifting away is the worst-case scenario for Liberty Media. Formula One has absorbed star departures before. Michael Schumacher announced his retirement at Monza on the 10th of September 2006, carrying records for 91 wins, 68 poles, and 155 podiums. UK free-to-air ratings had slipped through his dominance years, from roughly 4 million average in 2000 on ITV1 to under 3 million by 2006. They recovered to 3.55 million in 2007 on Hamilton's debut, with a 7.15 million peak for the Brazilian decider. Ayrton Senna died at the 1994 San Marino Grand Prix, and Bernie Ecclestone later told Folha de Sao Paulo that viewership climbed by around 30% afterwards. Lewis Hamilton's move to Ferrari, announced in February 2024, sent Ferrari stock up more than 12% on the day, adding roughly $10 billion to market cap. The pattern suggests F1 absorbs these moments, so long as a successor narrative is already in place. Today, that narrative already exists. Andrea Kimi Antonelli has won in China and Japan, became the youngest ever championship leader at 19 years, and now tops the drivers' standings with 72 points. George Russell sits second on 63, while Lando Norris claimed the 2025 title by just 2 points over Max Verstappen. Martin Brundle captured the industry view bluntly in April 2026, remarking that there are any number of Antonellis, Behrmans, and Lindblads out there who would do the job incredibly well for 1% of the money, and that the sport will simply move on if Max chooses to go. Formula One isn't in trouble in any survival sense. The sport has grown commercially bigger than at any point in its history. Losing Verstappen without resolving the 2026 rules crisis, however, would compound an already uncomfortable period. It would dent Red Bull's commercial position, hollow out the Dutch market, strip headline star power from a Drive to Survive franchise already shedding viewers, and test the commercial model harder than at any point since the Liberty Media takeover in 2017. The real question isn't whether F1 survives. It's whether the sport keeps growing or stalls for the first time in a decade. For the deeper breakdown on contract mechanics, buyout figures, and the destinations Verstappen is being linked to, subscribe to Racecraft and hit the bell. Drop your take in the comments below. Does Formula One need Max more than Max needs Formula One, or is Brundle right that the sport simply moves on?